the demonic and sex throughout history. For centuries, Satan has been blamed for all sorts of shenanigans, bad weather, rebellious kids, and suspiciously well-seasoned barbecue. Seriously, why does it always taste better when it's slightly burnt, especially sausages? But of all the things humans have credited to the Prince of Darkness, his alleged obsession with sex is by far the most exciting and entertaining. Romantic Satanism, sex, science, and liberty. One of the pillars of romantic Satanism states that sex transcends human and godly laws. Their philosophy has three main components: sex, science, liberty. They describe Satan's connection to sex as follows. A third complex of meaning linked Satan with earth, nature, and the flesh, particularly in its manifestations of passionate love and sex. Already from the time of the apocryphal story of the Watcher Angels, the fallen angels had been brought into connection with lust, temptation, and the works of the flesh. This pornification of Satan found ample continuation in later Christian law and probably reached its apogee in the demonological fantasies of the early modern era. The Romantics accorded an almost divine status to passionate love, which transcended human and godly laws. Romantic Satanists supported notions of free love and female liberation. The poet Alfred de Vigny beautifully captured this theme of physical and spiritual liberation in his poem Satan. La nature, attentive aux lois de mon pierre, accueille avec amour, m'écoute et me respire. Je redeviens son âme et pour mes doux projets, du fond des éléments j'évoque mes sujets, which translates to nature, listening to the laws of my reign, receives me lovingly, hears me, makes me her breath. I become its soul again, and for my sweet designs, evoke my subjects from deep within the elements. From medieval monks having too many spicy dreams to modern conspiracy theorists convinced that pop stars are performing satanic orgies in their music videos. The devil always seems to have his pitchfork in everyone's bedroom business. So let's take a deeper, more playful look at why Lucifer is forever linked to love, lust, and latex. The original bad boy of the Bible, Satan didn't start off as the horned, horny, smooth-talking seducer we imagine today. In the Old Testament, he was more of a cosmic prosecutor, basically God's grumpy lawyer. But over time, humans apparently decided that being a divine tattletale wasn't sexy enough. Thus, the birth of seductive evil. I mean, come on, who likes lawyers? Enter the Middle Ages, where Christian theologians really put their imaginations to work. Satan went from bureaucratic nuisance to the source of all things sinful, especially lust. And because nothing excites religious scholars more than warning people about pleasure, they started adding some truly wild details. Suddenly, Satan was showing up in bedrooms disguised as a sexy stranger. Women were warned about incubi, demons who seduced them in their sleep. Meanwhile, men were terrorized with tales of succubi, beautiful but deadly demonesses who could drain their life force and, conveniently, their bank accounts. It's been written that both demons swing both ways, so even us queers weren't safe from these lustful deviants. Let's put a pin in succubi for now and move on to the dangers of feminine sexuality, women's lust and the devil. At one point, women's natural desires were considered satanic. The infamous Malleus Maleficarum 1487, a witch-hunting handbook, described women as more susceptible to the devil's tricks because, wait for it, they were naturally lustful. This was, of course, extremely convenient for any man who wanted to blame a scandalous affair on witchcraft rather than on his own poor choices. The Burning Times cast a shadow over history, demonizing women who owned their sexuality. The stereotypical witch's broomstick? It was phallic. According to the Hammer of Witches, witches were believed to steal men's penises and hide them in trees. Now that's what I call morning wood. Eve, Lilith, and the birth of the succubus. Some theologians claim that Eve's sin in the Garden of Eden wasn't just eating the fruit, it was having sex with Satan. This led to the birth of Cain, evil, Satan's child, and Abel, good, Adam's child. Yet my favorite legend, Lilith. Lilith was Adam's first wife, but she refused to submit to him sexually, so God damned her, making her the first queen of demons. Lilith has since become a feminist icon, especially in satanic circles. In some Christian artwork, the serpent in the Garden of Eden has breasts, suggesting that Lilith herself gave Eve the fruit, not Satan. So maybe the devil is a woman after all.
Lilith is known as the Queen of Demons. She was Adam's first wife from Jewish mythology. She's now known as a feminist icon within the occult. And this is because when Adam and Lilith went to do the do, Lilith refused to lie below Adam, wanting equality.
Records of Lilith date back to 2000 BCE. She's featured in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Babylonian Talmud, and the Book of Genesis. And one thing's for certain, she has always been demonic. Also known as a succubus. Lilith sneaks into men's rooms and takes their seed. This part of her mythology is through something vile. Because of Lilith's refusal to be subservient, God damned her to give birth to 100 stillborns a day. This is why the succubus are known to take men's seed. This has been a paranoia of Christian men for centuries. So for this ritual we call upon Lilith, on Lupercalia, for self-empowerment. The Church versus the devil's dirty work. As history marched on, Satan's role as humanity's ultimate bad influence expanded. The Church, being the fun police that it was, linked nearly all forbidden pleasures to him. Enjoying romance outside of marriage, Satan's whispering in your ear, feeling an overwhelming attraction to your neighbor's very handsome husband. Clearly, demonic influence, Satan, rock and roll, and the sexual revolution. Fast forward a few centuries and the devil was still busy corrupting innocent minds, this time through music. By the 20th century, sex had become more openly discussed, and naturally, Satan got dragged into the conversation. Rock and roll, with its gyrating hips and rebellious lyrics, was immediately labelled as the devil's music. Parents clutched their pearls as Elvis dared to move his hips. By the S, heavy metal bands were being accused of hiding satanic messages in their songs. Spoiler, they weren't. But they leaned into the marketing opportunity hard. The 1960s and 70s saw the rise of the free love movement, and guess what? People started claiming that was satanic too. For once, their accusations might not have been entirely baseless. The sexual revolution of the 60s was apparently inspired by none other than Aleister Crowley, the occultist, founder of Thelema, and self-proclaimed Great Beast 666. Crowley even appeared on the front cover of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, confirming what many had speculated. Crowley, known for his sex magic rituals, predicted that within a century, people would reject Christianity and that the world would see the rise of Crowleyanity. He was right. As an openly bisexual man, he foresaw the future well. In modern witchcraft, the mystical art of turning bedtime stories into sacred rituals sees sex as the ultimate spell. Accepting and understanding lust can be your ticket to a higher state of consciousness and spiritual growth. Think of it as the secret ingredient to your magical potion. On the flip side, repressing lust is like trying to brew a potion without a cauldron. It just doesn't work, but embrace it consensually and with patience, and you'll conjure a deeper connection with yourself and others, making your ritual and witchcraft truly personable. Crowley was detrimental and major influence on the modern witch movement, as well as self-proclaimed nudist Gerald Gardner, the founder of the Wiccan religion. So of course, being a part of the occult, this trickled down into the satanic orgies rumour, an act of pure indulgence springing from the Sabbath rumours of the 1600s, where witches would kiss the behind of the devil and dance naked ritualistically around fires according to legend. One very upsetting legend was that the devil had a cold, sharp, hard penis, which at face value is hilarious. Edward Cullen springs to mind. However, the reality of this witch's confession, which was common, was simply because poor defenseless victim was being tortured with, yup, you guessed it, implements which were ice cold, brutally sharp, and made of hard metal. May we remember those who fell victim to these past satanic panics. Back to the world of music. Crowley did inspire the Beatles, but also sex icons like Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin and film icons like Kenneth Anger, who made Lucifer Rising and the first lgbtqia+ film in Hollywood history, Fireworks. the two SLGBTQIA+ community and Satanism. The two SLGBTQIA+ community and Satanism have a long intertwined history. One of the earliest records of homosexuality being linked to Satanism comes from the Luciferians when sometimes there are many more men than women, the men, swept with ignoble passions and the unquenchable fire of their desires, perform their shameful acts in men, in the same way as they would make natural use of them when they would have been women, which is against nature, and in which way they make themselves worthy of damnation. This was obviously meant as an insult, but by the 1960s, Satanism became a symbol of self-identification for many in the LGBTQ+ community. With the publication of the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey promoted sexual liberation, stating, "Satanism encourages any type of sexual expression you may desire, so long as it hurts no one else." This, of course, includes consent. Later, in 2013, the Satanic Temple TST performed the Pink Mass, a symbolic protest against homophobia, particularly targeting the anti-LGBTQ+ Westboro Baptist Church. The ritual was meant to posthumously turn Fred Phelps' mother into a homosexual in the afterlife, mocking Christian beliefs about spiritual transformation. The Pink Mass highlighted the Satanic Temple's commitment to LGBTQ+ rights and its use of satire to challenge religious bigotry. While Satanism and the LGBTQ+ community are not inherently connected, Satanism has been embraced by many as a way of reclaiming power from Abrahamic oppression. Why should the devil have all the fun? Anton LaVey embraced Satanism's reputation for indulgence, pleasure, and desire. He asked, "Why should the devil have all the fun?" Satanic imagery has long been associated with sexual empowerment rather than shame. Some artists and celebrities even use demonic aesthetics as a way to reclaim control over their own image. Let's be honest, if you've ever seen a latex-clad performer writhing on stage, someone, somewhere, is probably writing a Facebook post about satanic influence in